Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about compound inequalities. These this happens whenever you have two inequalities that are joined with the words and or. I know that sounds funny, but basically it adds some restrictions to what the solution could possibly be. So what I need you to do is go ahead and get out your notes. Take notes along with me. Whenever you're finished with them, go ahead and upload them to Google Classroom. And let's go ahead and get started. So, compound inequalities. Like I said, there are two or more inequalities that are joined with the words and or. And the or inequalities have a tendency to graph apart. So in other words, they're going to be in two different directions, the arrows are. So for example, we have, again, inequalities have a tendency to graph apart. So for the first example, we have x is less than or equal to negative 2, or x is greater than 3. So if we plot the first one, we have x is greater than or equal to negative 2. So we go to negative 2. We have a closed circle because it's less than or equal to. The numbers that are less than negative 2 are to the left. And then we have x is greater than 3. We go to 3. We have an open circle. The numbers that are greater than 3 are to the right. And this is what I mean by it's apart. So instead of just being one whole segment, it's two different ones. So for the interval notation, what we're going to be doing, we have negative infinity, comma, negative 2. And this has a bracket. And then we're going to be writing a U. This U stands for union. So this means negative infinity, comma, negative 2, unioned with 3, comma, infinity. So this means that it's both of these. Since it's an or statement, we have that either this one's true or this one's true. As long as one of them's true, we're fine. Okay? So that's basically what we're going to be doing with the or inequalities. So I'm going to go through a few, and if you have any questions, be sure to ask. So number 1, we have x minus 4 is less than negative 7, or 2x is greater than or equal to 12. Let's go ahead and solve the first one. So in order to do that, we're going to add 4 to both sides. That leaves us with x is less than negative 7 plus 4, which is negative 3. And then we can solve the second one by dividing both sides by 2. So we have x is greater than or equal to 12 divided by 2, which is 6. And remember, there's an or in between. So let's start with the first one. We have x is less than negative 3. So we go to negative 3. Since it's less than, we have an open circle. And where are the numbers that are less than negative 3? Well, they're to the left. All right. This one's done. Now we have x is greater than or equal to 6. So we go all the way to 6. We come up here. We have a closed circle on this one, since it's greater than or equal to. And where are the numbers that are greater than or equal to 6? Well, they're to the right. So that's what this interval notation looks, or what that graph looks like. Now we have to do the interval notation. So we're going to have parentheses, negative infinity, comma. We go to negative 3, and there's an open circle, so we have negative 3 parentheses. Then we draw the U. Remember that U means unioned with, or it just combines the two statements. And then we don't have anything here, and we have a 6 here, and it's a closed circle. So we're going to have bracket, 6, comma, infinity, parentheses. All right. That's the first one. So basically we're doing two separate problems all in one. It's the same thing that we did last week, or earlier in the week. So if you have any questions, please let me know. All right, number 2. We have negative 3x is less than or equal to negative 9, or 5 plus x is less than 6. So let's go ahead and start solving this. So the first one, we have to divide by negative 3 on both sides. That leaves us with x. We divide by a negative, so we have to flip the sign. Negative 9 divided by negative 3 is positive 3. Or, with this one, we have to subtract 5 on both sides. That leaves us with x is less than 6 minus 5 is 1. So these are the two that we have to graph now. We have x is greater than or equal to 3. So we go to 3. Since it's greater than or equal to, we have a closed circle. Then, where are the numbers that are greater than 3? Well, that's to the right, so we're going to draw an arrow to the right. We're done with the first one. Now we move on to x is less than 1. We go to 1. It's less than, so we have an open circle. And then, where are the numbers that are less than 1? Well, they're to the left, so we're going to draw an arrow to the left. Now, let's do the interval notation. So, starting from all the way over here, we come from negative infinity. So we have negative infinity, comma. We stop at 1. It's an open circle. So we have 1, parentheses. We draw the union symbol. And then we jump over to positive 3, and it's closed. So we have a bracket, 3, comma, and we go to infinity. Okay, that's our interval notation. Let's move on to number 3. So number 3 is 2x plus 9 is greater than 17, or 5x plus 10 is less than 10. Let's go ahead and start solving. So for the first one, we have to subtract 9 from both sides. We have 2x is greater than 17 minus 9. 17 minus 9 gives us an 8. And then we divide by 2 on both sides. I said 2, but I wrote down 4. Divide by 2 on both sides. We're left with x is greater than 4. Now for this one, we're going to subtract 10 to both sides. That leaves us with 5x is less than 0. Divide by 5. That leaves us with x is less than 0. So we have these two things. Let's do the first one. X is greater than 4. We go to 4. It's a greater than symbol, so we have an open circle. And where are the numbers that are greater than 4? Well, they're to the right. That's the first one. We have x is less than 0, so we go to 0. We have less than symbol, so it's an open circle. And where are the numbers that are less than 0? Well, they're to the left. Now, let's go ahead and write our interval notation. So we come from negative infinity, we go to 0. So we have parentheses, negative infinity, comma 0. Since this is an open circle, we're going to have parentheses. Then we have the union symbol. We jump over to 4, and it's an open circle, so we have parentheses, 4, and we go to infinity. All right, that's number 3. Let's take a look at number 4. Number 4 is 7x minus 14 is greater than or equal to 0, or 4x plus 5 is less than or equal to negative 3. Let's start solving. So we're going to add 14 to both sides. We have 7x is greater than or equal to 14. Divide by 7. That leaves us with x is greater than 2. Okay, that's the first one. Now for the second one. Subtract 5 from both sides. We have 4x is less than or equal to. Negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. We divide by 4. We're left with x is less than or equal to negative 2. All right. These are the two statements that we have to graph now. So let's start with the first one. X is greater than 2. We go over to 2. It's a greater than symbol, so we have an open circle. Since we're looking for the numbers that are greater than 2, we draw a line to the right. That's the first one. Now we have x is less than or equal to negative 2. So we go over to negative 2. For this one, we have a closed circle because it's a less than or equal to symbol. And then we're looking for the numbers that are less than -2. So we draw to the left. Now, time for the interval notation. We come from -infinity. We stop at -2. So we have -infinity, comma, -2. Since it's a closed circle, we have a bracket. We jump over to +2. So we have union. Since it's an open circle at 2, we have parentheses, 2, comma. We go all the way to infinity. So we have infinity, parentheses. And that's our interval notation for numbers 4. Let's do number 5. All right, for this one, we have to distribute. So we have -3 times 2x. That's -6x. -3 times 1, -3 is less than -15. We add 3 to both sides. That gives us -6x is less than -12. We have to divide both sides by -6. Since we divide by a negative, we have to flip the sign. Now we have -12 divided by -6. Well, that gives us +2. That's our first one. Now for the second one. We have 1 minus x is greater than or equal to 5. First step is to subtract 1 on both sides. That gives us -x is greater than or equal to 5 minus 1, which is 4. We have to get rid of this negative, so we divide by -1. Since we divide by a negative, we have x is less than or equal to -4. We have to graph these two things. And remember, whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. Okay, first one is x is greater than 2. We go over to 2. We have an open circle. Since we're looking for the numbers that are greater than 2, they are to the right. That's the first one. We have x is less than or equal to -4. So we go to -4. We have a closed circle because it's less than or equal to. And we're looking for the numbers that are less than, and they are located to the left. Now, let's do our interval notation. So we come from -infinity, we go to -4. So we have -infinity, comma, -4. Since it's a closed circle, we have a bracket. We have to have our union symbol. Then we jump over to 2. It's an open circle, so we have parentheses, 2, comma. We go to infinity, and that always has parentheses. And that's going to be our interval notation. Now, let's go to the second page. Okay, for the second page, we're talking about the second type, and that would be the AND inequalities. And the AND inequalities have a tendency to graph together. So before we had them the arrows pointing away from each other, this time we're going to have the arrows pointing into each other. So let's look at our example. X is greater than or equal to -6, and x is less than or equal to 1. So let's start with the first one. X is greater than or equal to -6. So we go to -6. We have a closed circle because it's greater than or equal to. And then since we have a greater than or equal to symbol, we are looking for the numbers that are greater than -6. So that means that we're going to be drawing to the right. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do the second one. We have x is less than 1. So we go to 1. We have a closed circle at 1. And it's a less than symbol, so we're looking for everything that's less than 1. So we have our line that goes this way. So if you look, they stop each other. So what we have to do for the interval notation, we start from left to right. So if we go there, the first time we see a line is at -6, and it's a closed circle. So we have bracket -6, comma, and that goes into a +1. And it's a closed circle, and that's our interval notation. So if you see, anytime that you run into another inequality, you basically stop. So instead of these going on forever, since it's an AND statement, both of these things have to be true. So they have to be in between -6 and +1. Okay? So because the solutions to an AND inequality fall between two endpoints, they are frequently written in a more condensed form. So for example, for x is greater than or equal to -6 and x is less than or equal to 1, we can rewrite that to -6 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 1, and this is a more popular form that you'll see. Okay? So let's move on to number 6. As you can see, there's that form again. So what we have to do is start solving this. So whenever we start solving, basically you're going to imagine that these two symbols are equal signs, and you're going to solve whatever's in the middle. So since we have x plus 4, we have to subtract 4 to both sides, in this case to all three sides, if that makes sense. So we have 2 minus 4, which is -2, less than or equal to x, less than 9 minus 4, which is 5. Okay? So with this guy, it's a lot easier to graph in my opinion. So we go to -2. It's right here. It is less than or equal to x. So we have a closed circle. Then we go to 5. Since 5 is just a less than symbol, we have an open circle. And then we just connect the two. And for your interval notation, you start from the left. You take a pit stop at -2, and it's a closed circle. And you can go until 5. It's an open circle, so we have parentheses. That's it. Let's take a look at number 7. Okay, for number 7, we have to add 13 to both sides. That gives us -14 is less than 7x is less than 8 plus 13 is 21. Then we have to divide by 7. And that gives us -2 is less than x is less than 21 divided by 7, which is 3. So starting with this, we go to -2. We have an open circle since we have a less than symbol. Then we go to 3. It's also an open circle, and we connect the two. So now we have to do our interval notation. So starting from the left, we take a pit stop at -2. It's open circle, so we have parentheses. And then we go on to +3. It's also open, so parentheses. That's it. Let's move on to number 8. Okay, with number 8, we have -16 is less than or equal to 3x minus 4, which is less than or equal to 2. First step, add 4 to everything. So we have -16 plus 4, which is -12, less than or equal to 3x, less than or equal to 6. Okay, divide everything by 3. We have -4, less than or equal to x, less than or equal to 2. Okay, we start at -4. At -4, we have a closed circle because it's a less than or equal to sign. We jump over to 2. We also have a closed circle because it's less than or equal to. And then we draw a line. And now for our interval notation. From the left, we stop at -4. It's a closed circle, so we have a bracket, comma. We go to 2. It's also a closed circle, so there's a bracket, and that's our interval notation. Let's take a look at number 9. With number 9, we have -1 is less than 2 over 3x plus 1 is less than or equal to 5. First step, subtract 1 from both sides. From everything. So that leaves us with -2 is less than 2 over 3x less than or equal to 5 minus 1 is 4. Don't know why that was so hard for me. All right, in order to get rid of this fraction, if you remember, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply everything by the reciprocal. So multiply by 3 over 2. Okay, let's make everything a fraction. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 over 2 times 1 is 2, less than 3 on top, 3 on bottom, 2 on bottom, 2 on top. That's with an x, less than or equal to. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. Simplify this just a little bit. So we have negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3, less than x, less than or equal to 12 over 2, which is 6. All right, let's graph this. Go to negative 3. We have an open circle because of this symbol right here. Go to 6. We have a closed circle because of this symbol. Now we connect the two. We have to do our interval notation, so starting from the left, we stop at negative 3. It's open, so we have parentheses, negative 3, comma. We go to 6. It's closed circle, so we have brackets. That's our interval notation. Finally, number 10. First step for this guy is 1, to read it. So we have negative 2 is less than 2 times the quantity x minus 6 is less than or equal to 4. All right, distribute the 2. So we have 2 times x. Let's write this down. So 2 times x, 2 times negative 6, which is negative 12, less than or equal to 4. Add 12 to everything. We have 10 is less than 2x is less than or equal to 4 plus 12, which is 16. Divide everything by 2. Going to move up here. We have 5 is less than x is less than or equal to 8. First one, we go to 5. We have an open circle. Next one, we go to 8. We have a closed circle. We connect the 2. Now we do our interval notation. So we start from the left. We go until 5. It's an open circle, so we have parentheses, comma. We go till 8. It's closed, so we have bracket. And that's it for compound inequalities. So again, we have the or and the and. So make sure that you're paying attention to the homework because there's going to be both types on there. If you have any questions about it, please let me know and I'll be happy to help. Hope you have a wonderful day.